Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On June 25th, 1996, a terrorist bomb exploded outside the northern perimeter of Khobar Towers, Dhahran, Saudi Arabia, at a facility which housed United States and Allied forces supporting the coalition air operations over Iraq. Today, we gather to commemorate the 19 brave warriors, including 12 valiant Nomads, who made the ultimate sacrifice, defending our freedom during the attack 24 years ago. I am Master Sergeant Jack Ramsey IV, and I will be your narrator for today's event. On behalf of the 33rd Fighter Wing, thank you for taking the time to honor our fallen Nomads during this 24th anniversary memorial ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of the colors, the playing of the national anthem, and we invite you to remain standing for the invocation.
Present arms. Right shoulder. Arms. Colors. Colors turn. Heart.
Well, would you all join me for a word of prayer? So, Lord, as we gather here at the 33rd Fighter Wing on a Florida Thursday morning, it isn't the humidity in the air that has our hearts so wonderfully warming. It is the legacy of heroes, fallen Nomads, each with a precious name, remembered by all who hear this prayer in the presence of a sword set aflame. We cherish their memory and endeavor to never take their sacrifices lightly. Our commitment to these brothers is to shine in times of darkness, radiating ever brightly. And on behalf of all who wear OCP's flight suits or civilian attire, we say thanks to grieving loved ones who carry on and keep us inspired. Of course, the heavenly hope we cling to is knowing these Nomads have ceased their wandering. Our commitment is gathering in humble solemnity, which is appropriate in honoring. For these men who laid down their lives in sacrifice to country and under the banner of Old Glory, we will never forget them, we carry them with us, and we will continue to tell their story. But now, Lord, I need to stop this prayer so that this ceremony can begin. For that, God, we thank you. Let all the people say, Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Winkler and Chaplain Taylor, for that beautiful rendition of the national anthem and the invocation. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. We would like to thank all family members and friends, as well as survivors of the Khobar Towers tragedy, in attendance at today's ceremony and those tuning in virtually. At this time, we would like to recognize the families of our fallen nomads who have joined us here today. Mrs. Bernadine Beekman, mother of Airman First Class Joshua Woody. Mr. George Beekman, stepfather of Airman First Class Joshua Woody. Mrs. Bridget Brooks, mother of Airman First Class Joseph Reamkis. Mr. Don Brooks, stepfather of Airman First Class Joseph Reamkis. Miss Christine Bradley, aunt of Airman First Class Joseph Reamkis. Mrs. Derry Bradley, aunt of Airman First Class Joseph Reamkis. And Mr. Edward Bradley, the uncle of Airman First Class Joseph Reamkis. We are truly thankful you could be with us today. It is an honor to have you here for today's ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, the commander of the 33rd Fighter Wing, Colonel John Wheeler.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us today, both in person and virtually. Today marks the 24th year we have gathered to honor the courage and sacrifice of the 19 airmen, 12 of them nomads, that gave their lives in Dhahran, Saudi Arabia, in the service of the United States. It is one of the greatest honors of this position to have the privilege to welcome you to the 33rd Fighter Wing, to participate in this time-honored ceremony, and to affirm, once again, that we will never forget. I'd like to thank Brigadier General Kane for allowing us to conduct this ceremony. General Kane and Chief Auger, thanks for being here today. I'd also like to thank Master Sergeant Chalmers, Tech Sergeant Taylor, the Khobar Towers Committee, and the Eglin Honor Guard for planning, organizing, and conducting a successful memorial despite the challenges and uncertainty during this pandemic. Mostly, I want to thank the families, friends, and survivors who have joined us today in person and online. Thank you for your continued trust in the 33rd Fighter Wing to honor those we lost. This year, as I considered my remarks, I did so in the time leading up to Father's Day, and the timing made an impression on me. Our nomads spent Father's Day on June 16th, 1996, away from their fathers and away from their children in a faraway land. Comparing my own remote assignments from 1999 and 2019, I can say it was a lot different 20 plus years ago. Our deployed nomads weren't able to FaceTime or Skype. They weren't able to talk and text every day with their families. Maybe they received a card or an email or had a 10-minute conversation to give and receive well wishes on Father's Day. But they were deployed again, as many of them had been on and off for years. They had been in Saudi Arabia for months and were almost done with this deployment. In fact, 6 of the F-15Cs and most nomads in Dhahran that day were scheduled to fly home on the 27th of June, just 2 days after the bombing of Khobar Towers. Father's Day this year reminded me of the fathers and sons we lost on June 25th, 1996. It reminded me of their sacrifice. Father's Day this year reminded me of the fathers left among us who have spent 24 years not getting that card, call, visit, or hug from their son. Today, Lt.Col David Mock Cochran, commander of the 58th Fighter Squadron, will lay a wreath to remember our fallen Nomads. 24 years ago, he was just a boy. His father was deployed during Father's Day 1996. At that time, Lt.Col Doug Cochran was the commander of the 58th Fighter Squadron when the tragedy unfolded. Doug was in his room preparing for the squadron's departure just 2 days away when the truck bomb exploded just outside Building 131, killing members of his squadron and changing the lives of so many. Today, Lt.Col Mock Cochran's presence embodies the connection we have and hold sacred between Nomads, past and present. This year, our country and the world have endured much suffering. The worldwide pandemic, the social unrest as our fellow citizens seek equality and justice in America. It's a lot to take in, and the challenges can seem insurmountable. At times like this, I think it is important to look to our past and to our heroes for inspiration. As we face new challenges today, we are inspired once again by our Nomads from years ago who said, "Send me. I am willing to give it all." Now more than ever, their legacy inspires and touches us as we remember.
Thank you, Colonel Wheeler, for your remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the wreath ceremony. Lt.Col David Cochran, will you please come forward to place the wreath upon the stand? Today, we honor the 19 fearless warriors who made the ultimate sacrifice.
Captain Leland on.
Captain Christopher Adams.
Master Sergeant Kendall Kitson, Jr.
Master Sergeant Michael Heiser. Technical Sergeant Gus Todd Wynn.
Technical Sergeant Patrick Finnick. Technical Sergeant Daniel Safarik. Sergeant D. Campbell.
Staff Sergeant Ronald King.
Staff Sergeant Kevin Johnson.
Senior Airman Earl Carteret, Jr.
Senior Airman Jeremy Taylor. Airman First Class Brent Marthaler.
Airman First Class Brian McVeigh.
Airman First Class Joseph Reemkiss.
Airman First Class Joshua Woody.
Airman First Class Justin Wood.
Airman First Class Peter Forgera. Airman First Class Christopher Lester.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please rise as we observe 1 minute of silence in remembrance of our fallen heroes. And as a reminder, all military personnel will render a salute during the playing of taps. Thank you, and please be seated. Chaplain Taylor, will you please come and give the benediction? Thank you.
Well, may the Lord bless and keep each of you this day. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you. May the Lord be gracious unto you and your family and give you peace all the days of your life. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Taylor. Ladies and gentlemen, the men and women of the United States Air Force and the 33rd Fighter Wing are proud to honor those lost in the Khobar Towers attack 24 years ago. Let us remember that once a nomad, always a nomad. As you leave today, we ask that you continue to pray for and support the families of our fallen nomads and the men and women who serve this great nation. Thank you all for attending today's ceremony. Have a good day.